In 1998, Barenaked Ladies released their most commercially successful album, Stunt. This album featured their #1 hit single, 1 Week, and other classics, such as It's All Been Done and Call and Answer. There are also many fan favorites on this album, including Alcohol, In the Car, Light Up My Room, Some Fantastic, and I'll Be That Girl. This song has always confused me. Not in a bad way, it's a banger. But no matter how long I've sit and listened and read through the lyrics, I don't know what the fuck this song's about. Who's singing this song? Who is this person? I don't know, and no one else does either. While I'm sure everyone could understand the gist of what the main character or the person who is singing the song is trying to convey, which is to convince someone to be in a relationship with them, there seems to be quite a divisiveness as to who is singing the song and what the context of the song is. Is it a man singing to a woman? Is it a man singing to a man? The list goes on. So I decided, instead of doing a lyrical analysis like my last video, because I can't,
hello? Anybody home? Hey, think with fly.
I'll talk about the cool theories BNL fans have posted on forums, lyric websites, etc. I'll go over the 4 most popular theories, and I'll weigh their strengths, their weaknesses, and kind of go over what I think the point of the song might be about, even though it would kind of be an incomplete answer to a question that no one has understood yet. Just a preface, this video might make more sense if you listen to the song and are familiar with the lyrics. Also, I'm not saying that any of these theories are wrong or right. It's perfectly valid to agree or disagree with the points I make. I'm not trying to devalue your opinion, I'm just trying to evaluate the narratives. In fact, maybe leave a comment with your opinion after watching. I'd love to hear them. Okay, the first theory. This theory follows the story of a man pining over a woman he desires, and he describes how wonderful this relationship would be if they were together. However, the man describes how he is not able to have a relationship with her, as she cannot have him as himself, because he's seemingly not noteworthy enough. It is unclear why this is the case. He then tries to convince the woman that she should choose sadness, that sadness would represent settling for him, and reassures her that he will still adore her when she is an old woman. Alright, so the pros. What are the pros of the theory? This seems to be a really popular reading of the narrative, if not the most popular interpretation of the lyrics. And, you know what, I gotta be honest, I don't really like this theory. This theory has a lot of cons, but in another argument or sub-argument I'll present will make this one look way better. The argument seems pretty weak at points. I think this theory might be popular because it seems to be a very surface-level reading of the lyrics. And because the lyrics are surface-level, they follow standard pop song conventions, such as because the singer has a male voice and is singing in the first person, it must be a male protagonist. So it's a love song between a man and a woman. But even that breakdown doesn't make the most sense, considering there's no definitive gender assigned to the subject at all in the lyrics. So it seems like these theorists are actually failing at arguing for heteronormativity. Wait, what if the singer was a woman and the subject was a man? Wait, that would actually be really cool, what the fuck? How did I not think of this before? When was the last time you heard a male songwriter write from the perspective of a woman that was in the first person? I mean, I'm sure it's not that original, but dude, I don't think I've ever heard that. That'd be dope as shit. What the fuck? Next point. Being that girl is attributed to wanting to be that girl so that this supposed girl would take notice of him, the singer, interpreting this female subject as being self-absorbed. If you will not have me as myself, perhaps as someone else, perhaps as you, I'll be worth noticing, is probably the line that has the best evidence for this. But there are more cohesion in other narratives and stories with different interpretations of these lyrics. It could be his own lack of self-confidence in himself, and believes that if he tried, he could not convince her to go out with him anyway. I don't know, I don't really buy the argument that she's so self-absorbed that she wouldn't go out with him. Seeing as the singer would be our hero and good guy in this interpretation, it seems kind of manipulative on the singer's part to imply this. Even if he did ask her out, she could just be not interested, and that wouldn't mean that she was self-absorbed. This theory doesn't explain certain lines like, all the things I do to make myself turn blue, I suppose I start by removing all my clothes, tie my pantyhose around my neck. Or doesn't explain it well at all. Also, this interpretation doesn't explain clear allusions to mental illness in the bridge and in other lines, like, and if I had a gun, there'd be no tomorrow. You can't deny that this line and the bridge are very hostile lines for a supposedly normal, unrequited love song. Okay, theory 2. This theory follows the story of a man pining over another man he desires, and he describes how wonderful this relationship would be if they were together. However, the man describes how he is not able to have a relationship with him, as he cannot have him as himself because the male subject is straight and would never be interested in the protagonist. The singer then tries to convince the subject that he should choose sadness, that sadness would represent settling for him, and reassures him that the singer will still adore him when he is an old man. So what are the pros? I'll Be That Girl can imply that the subject is straight and is into another woman, leaving the singer slightly jealous even though he's aware that the subject is straight. He is fantasizing about being the woman or the partner the male subject wants. If you will not have me as myself, perhaps as someone else, perhaps as you, I'll be worth noticing, could allude to wanting to be as great of a person or man as the subject. He's admiring the subject, or perhaps calling to how attractive this subject could be. This interpretation also utilizes the metaphor of the eunuch. For simplicity's sake, let's just go with the most basic definition of a eunuch. A eunuch is a man who has been castrated, or could also refer to someone who is ineffectual. He's basically saying even a castrated male couldn't resist me. Or even someone that couldn't feel couldn't resist me. The eunuch metaphor can be used effectively in another theory in this list, but the metaphor of kissing a castrated male, or one that could at least symbolically have no sex drive. Sorry guys, I'm not an expert on the male sex drive or castration. Could be representative of the gay male singer kissing the straight male subject, and how the singer would imply that he would entice someone who presumably couldn't be sexually interested in him. The mental illness in the bridge can be explained as the singer revealing his depression, the depression he has felt over being attracted to or in love with someone who could never be interested in him legitimately. He's kind of pleading for a chance in a kind of bitter way. Alright, so what are the cons? Wow, weirdly I can't think of any. B&L said gay rights! Oh wait, I got one. The pantyhose line still doesn't make any sense. It's for the same reason as the first theory as well. It makes no sense. Theory 3. Another interpretation of the lyrics is that the story is about a person pining for a girl, and saying if they could be the person or gender they would hope to be, I'll be that girl, then things would be better and they would get the subject's affections. Happily ever after, and you would be right over. They would feel happier about being their true self, as well as having an adoring partner that accepts them. They explore the pursuit of what would be their personal happiness by musing on their attraction to the subject. Alright, the pros. Lines like, and I wish that I were you, and perhaps as you, I would be worth noticing, could allude to gender dysphoria. It can also provide depth to the bridge, as this could allude to the struggles of living with gender dysphoria and wanting to bring another person in for support. And specifically, perhaps as you, I'll be worth noticing, could be interpreted as the gender of the subject. Perhaps as a woman, as the woman I want to be, I'd be worth noticing. We can take the line, I'll be that girl, and give it a more literal interpretation of actually wanting to be a woman for the subject. The singer is fantasizing about being the literal woman the subject wants. Transgenderism can also be read into other Barenaked Ladies songs, such as What a Good Boy, and a particular line in the song Alcohol. Okay, so what are the cons? While this theory can definitely be interpreted in this and other B&L songs, the transgender themes in other B&L songs can also be interpreted in a multitude of different ways. For example, the line in Alcohol, it seems to be a little bit of a stretch, as cross-dressing is not necessarily an indication of transgenderism. It's quite common among cisgendered people, especially males. And it's the only lyric that could be interpreted in that way in the song, as it's quite clearly about alcoholism, or at least drinking to excess. Also, transgender readings are not generally cited as being definitive interpretations of these songs by a majority of fans and by the artist. Stephen Page actually said What a Good Boy is about an idealistic 21-year-old's view of gender roles, which definitely could apply to a trans story, obviously, but the song's not specifically about the trans experience or a trans character. But he also said that he loves hearing different interpretations of the song. So like, it really doesn't matter. It's usually not cited as being the definitive version. Theory 4, or the supplementary argument. I'm calling it a supplementary argument, as this angle could perhaps give a more cohesive story to the lyrics as a whole for theories 1 and 2, not 3. It takes in the lines that the first two theories didn't explain well, and incorporates them better into the story. But it also changes the context of the song from a plain, unrequited love story into something a little bit more, complex, even though it's slightly uncomfortable to think about. This interpretation displays the singer in a pretty negative light, as they've been consumed by their own lust. This interpretation has the same premise of theories 1 and 2. A person is experiencing unrequited love towards another person, but with a slight twist. The singer is obsessed with the subject and puts them in their own sexual fantasies, complete with slightly out there paraphilias, which I'll explain as we continue. This obsession is intensified by these paraphilias, as well as described mental illness the singer glorifies. So what are the pros of this theory? There are strong cross-dressing themes in this song, similar to the evidence of Theory 3. And like I said before, it's even a strong theme in other BNL songs and in BNL music videos. Then, the song could be interpreted as a person suffering from an extreme form of transvestism, not transgenderism. This extreme form is called transvestic disorder. Transvestism involves recurrent, intense sexual arousal from cross-dressing, and transvestic disorder is transvestism that causes significant distress and subsequently interferes with daily functioning. So not only can the cross-dressing and assuming the role of a woman flesh out lines about being that girl, but the extreme mental illness overtones, such as in the bridge, could also contribute to the idea that this paraphilia and fixation on the subject is causing him great mental anguish. Also, finally, we have an answer to the fucking pantyhose line. All the things I do to make myself turn blue, tie my pantyhose around my neck, could be an allusion to autoerotic asphyxiation. For those who do not know, erotic asphyxiation is the intentional restriction of oxygen to the brain for the purposes of sexual arousal. And by the prefix of auto, we know that autoerotic asphyxiation is when the act is done by the person to themselves. So immediately we can see a duality of the line between this fetish, but suicide as well, contributing to the mental illness themes in the song. Also, this interpretation of the lyrics tend to be the most unpopular interpretation, as once someone points it out to you, you can never not think about it. So once you start to read the lyrics like this, you'll notice that the whole song has a very lusty nature to it. Also, this theory utilizes the metaphor of the eunuch again. While it's hard to determine the exact reason of why this metaphor was made, I think the extreme call to sex organs, or the removal of them, can speak a lot to the mindset of the singer. So this sub-argument adds on to the first two theories and makes them stronger. Where there once was unexplained imagery and disconnected references to mental illness, there is now a dark story of a mentally unstable man becoming hyperfixated on a woman or man to the point of obsessive idealization and proposing to be in a kinky relationship. The singer understands that this may not be what the subject wants, but thinks he could in the end convince them to stay by explaining that he would be the only one left. It's really manipulative. So the faults of the first and second theory now make way more sense, such as the singer implying the subject is self-absorbed. He's basically an incel, kind of. So what's the con of this theory? We explained how pretty strong it is, but is there a con? Well, this version is sometimes cited as the definitive version, as fans on forums state that Stephen Page was quoted to say that this song is about autoerotic asphyxiation. However, I've not been able to find this quote or any other evidence that concludes that this was the artist's intention. For all I know, it was made up, or he said it and it was a joke. I have no idea. I can't find it anywhere. So if we don't know the narrative context of the song, what can we take away from the lyrics of I'll Be That Girl? While the orientation and gender of the singer is non-definitive, the protagonist is clearly suffering from this relationship. The relationship could possibly all be in the singer's head, but nonetheless their unhealthy feelings are internalizing and either creating or compiling on their own mental illness issues. If anything, we can take away that distressing relationships can get caught up in a cycle of perpetual hurt. While you may want to leave or forget about your feelings for a person because you know it's best for your mental health, you can get pulled back in by something. Lust, love, or other factors. I think this song is really cool, so I don't know, Stephen Page, maybe not Stephen Duffy, I don't think that he'd ever see this, but perhaps Stephen, if I have a chance, it's probably Stephen Page. So Stephen Page, this is for you, this part of the video is just for you. What is this song about? I don't know what it's about, could you please tell me? I want to know, just please. All right, okay, I'm definitely done now. I'm done.